Robert Frost's poem, A Roadside Stand, is about so much more than just a little shack on the side of the road. It's this really powerful gut punch of a look at the lives of the rural poor, the chilling indifference of the wealthy, and what it feels like to carry the weight of empathy. So let's break it down and see what makes it so unforgettable.
Frost kicks things off by putting us right there, asking a super simple question. Have you ever done it? Have you ever stopped at one of these places? That question immediately connects our own experiences to the poem's central image, and to the human story that's about to unfold.
Now, what's really cool here is how Frost makes the stand feel alive. He says it pathetically pled. I mean, think about that. It's not just a wooden building, it's like a living thing, desperately, sadly begging for just a little bit of attention from all those cars just speeding by.
So what is this stand really pleading for? Well, at its core, it's a plea that's born from hope. And that brings us to our first section, really getting into the dreams of the people who built this thing.
Okay, first things first. This is not about begging. The people running this stand, they have their dignity. They are not asking for a handout, what Frost calls a dole of bread. Nope, they've set up a little business. They want to earn a living, plain and simple.
And this quote, it just nails their modest dream. They see all this cash flowing around, keeping the cities alive and beautiful, the flower of cities, and they're just hoping for a tiny little bit of that stream to be diverted their way. They just want to feel some of that city money, to see if it can help their own lives grow.
And what are they offering for that cash? Well, it's simple, honest-to-goodness stuff from the land. Wild berries, golden squash. They're even offering the beauty of the mountain scenery itself as a place to rest. It's a genuine piece of the countryside.
When you boil it all down, what they're really hoping for is that prosperous life they've only ever seen in the movies. It's the moving picture's promise, a dream that they feel the people in power are actively keeping from them.
But this dream of a better life, it's about to crash head-on into a cold, hard reality that Frost brilliantly calls the polished traffic.
So what does he mean by polished traffic? Well, it's the wealthy city folks in their clean, shiny, expensive cars. But that word, polished, it isn't just about the vehicles. It's about the people inside them too. Refined, sophisticated, and totally disconnected from the dusty reality of this little roadside stand.
I mean, just look at the contrast here. On one side, you have this humble little stand, stuck in one place, just waiting and waiting. And on the other, these sleek, modern cars, always moving, always heading somewhere else. It's the perfect picture of the gap between the rural and urban worlds.
And their attitude? It's just ice cold, total indifference. They drive right by with their mind ahead, only thinking about where they're going, and if they do happen to glance over, they actually get annoyed. They feel like the stand's artless paint is ruining their pretty view. They see an eyesore, not a family's hope for survival.
Frost calls them the 1,000 selfish cars, and here's exactly why. The few times a car actually did stop, it was never to buy anything. They'd stop just to tear up the grass making a U-turn, or to ask for directions, or, and this one is almost comical, to ask if they sold gas. Can you imagine? Every single stop was this little spark of hope, just to be instantly crushed by selfishness.
But the indifference of passing strangers is one thing. Frost then introduces an even more sinister group, the so-called helpers, the people he calls the greedy good-doers. Just look at these powerful, clashing phrases Frost puts together. These people, you can think of them as politicians or big agencies, they promise to be good doers and beneficent, which means kind and generous. But the reality? They're greedy. They act like beasts of prey, feeding on the very people they're claiming to help.
The literary trick he's using here is called an oxymoron. Greedy good doers, beneficent beasts of prey. By slamming these total opposites together, Frost just perfectly captures the hypocrisy and the two-faced nature of these powerful figures.
So here's their manipulative playbook. First, they promise to move the rural poor into these new villages, with movie theaters and stores. Then they tell them, don't you worry, you won't have to think for yourselves anymore. These fake benefits are designed to soothe them out of their wits, basically to confuse them and make them go along with it. And the end result? It makes the poor completely dependent, destroying their old way of life and making them way easier to control.
And seeing all of this, the dashed hopes, the cruel manipulation, the whole focus of the poem starts to shift. It gets deeply personal, reflecting the poet's own growing pain and empathy.
You can really hear Frost's own voice coming through here. He says he can hardly bear to witness this childish longing, This pure, innocent hope that just goes completely unanswered, day after day. It's a vain hope, totally futile, and watching it is almost more than he can stand.
He describes this sadness like it's a physical thing, lurking there by the open window. The stand owners are just waiting all day long, and he calls their waiting an almost open prayer. A prayer for what? For the squeal of brakes. The sound of a stopping car, a potential customer, a sound that just never seems to come. And all of this unbearable empathy, it brings the poem to its emotional climax, leading Frost to a conclusion that is genuinely shocking.
Okay, this is where the poem gets really, really dark. The poet is so overwhelmed by their misery, he actually thinks to himself that it would be a great relief to just end their suffering completely. He suggests that maybe a quick death would be a bigger act of mercy than letting them live a life of constant, hopeless pain. It's a truly devastating thought.
But he doesn't leave us there. He pulls back from that dark place. He comes back into the sane. And in the very last lines, he turns the whole thing around and points the question right back at us, the readers. He wonders how he'd feel if someone offered to put him out of his pain, the pain of just watching all this happen. It's this haunting final question that just leaves you thinking about our own responsibilities and what it really means to help someone.